I want to talk about where we are exactly when it comes to the war between Russia and Ukraine, because this week we passed President Trump's 100-day marker in his second term. And he promised on the campaign trail he would end this war in a day. That hasn't happened yet, but Secretary of State Marco Rubio called this a very critical week in the talks between the two countries. And he said this over the weekend on Meet the Press, quote, "Throughout this process, it's about determining, do both sides really want peace, and how close are they or how far apart they are after 90 days of effort here, over 90 days of effort." He also added this, quote, "There are reasons to be optimistic, and there are also reasons to be concerned. It's complicated. If this was an easy war to end, it would have been ended by someone else a long time ago." So talk to us first, if you could, characterize exactly where we are in this, what he called very critical week in negotiations between Russia and Ukraine.
Absolutely, Brittany. And I do actually agree with the secretary that it's a complicated situation. There has been progress, especially over the last few days. We have seen that there's movement again, and it sort of tends to ebb and flow a little bit. There's stops and starts, and sometimes they're false and other times they're not. But essentially, at the moment, I think in terms of the US role in particular in the ceasefire negotiations and where the two sides are in peace talks, and the two sides being Russia and Ukraine, but also Ukraine and the United States. The U.S. has played an active but challenging role in ceasefire negotiations over the last few weeks in particular. So we've seen some positive signals from a recent meeting between the U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Vladimir Putin. But even so, there have been no major concessions as such from Russia as a result that might actually shift anything in a tangible way. So European governments, on the other hand, continue to support Ukraine. And with this sort of backing, Kyiv insists on an unconditional truce and has already rejected key aspects of the latest U.S. ceasefire proposal. So Washington is doing its part in many ways to apply pressure on Moscow to a degree. It has also been applying pressure on Kyiv too, but in terms of Russia, there's threat of sanctions. And even so, a durable ceasefire is highly improbable in the near term.
I want to talk